Hello everyone and welcome to another tutorial on our production and planning segment through an ERP system using Microsoft Excel. Quick recap, once again, our first place where we started was forecasting our sales. We determined what model or forecast model was the best fit, and once we had determined that, we went over to our production tab uh, so that we were able to determine, based on our sales forecast, how many units of each month we were expecting to sell, total units. Okay, and from that, we were given our total production plan based on inventory availability. So once again, this production tab gives us our totals of productions for each month. We took that and based on our expected sales, our mix of sales per product, and again on this example to this total series, this particular company is producing and selling 3 different items. So we needed to determine, based on our total production output on a monthly basis, how many of each items we needed to produce on a monthly basis. And based on our anticipated sales mix, we had determined in February that we were going to produce 154 units of widget A, 75 of B, and 113 of C. And then the total of this allocation came to 342, which of course balances our production plan number right here. And if we go across, as I said before, even right to July, our total, when we add up our allocations, we come to 349, which matches our total production plan for the month. Okay. Now, the next step in the process is drilling it down a little bit further and going into a master production schedule. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to refine this, these results and break it down on a daily basis so that we know for each day for February through to July how many total units we need to produce on a daily basis, and of that, what our daily production plan will be for each one of these items. Okay, so we'll go over to our MPS, or our master production schedule, and you can see here we need to first we need to calculate the total number of daily units that are planned to be produced each month. And then secondly, we want to calculate the total number of daily units by each product line that we're going to produce each month. So all of our other work has carried over into this worksheet. We've got our total sales, price, unit selling price, our total units that we're expected to sell, and then our production plan. Now, what becomes important here is we need to pay attention on how many work days there are per month, because we can see, for example, in February, being a short month, of course, we've only got 20 days. We gain an extra day in March, more time in April, more working days in May, but we can see that May and July have the highest number of work days of 23. So from this, we want to determine on row 14 the total number of units produced on a daily basis. So we'll select this cell, and it's quite simple. We're just going to take our total production plan that can be found in cell E10 of 342 units, and we're simply going to divide that by the number of working days that we have in a month. So that's going to be cell E12. Okay, so for February, we are planning to produce a total of 17 units per day. I mean, now in real world, through ERP systems, this would get broken down by the hour. It can be broken down by the minute, depending on what you're producing. So, really, this type of high-level or detailed planning can really help you keep on track, help supply chain and management stay on track of what they're doing. All right, so all we need to do with this now is just grab our fill handle, we'll drag it across, okay, and now we can see for our period that we're creating our plan for on a monthly basis, our total production of all our units for each month. All right, so now we're gonna refine this even further, and we want to say, okay, we know in February we need to produce on average 17 units a day. So now we're manufacturing 3 products here, so we need to determine of the total units that we're going to produce on a daily basis, how many will be widget A, widget B, and widget C. So we're going to use the same type of logic that we've been using all along. So we'll highlight the cell here in E16, and we'll simply take our total daily production count, which we can find in cell E14, and we're going to multiply this again by our expected cells per unit of each category. Okay? So the first one for widget A can be found in cell D16. Okay, now once again, because we're going to want to drag this formula across from February all the way across to July, we want to make the result in D16 an absolute cell reference. Okay, all right, so we can see for February, of our total daily production of 17 units, 8 of those, almost half, are going to be widget A, which makes sense because we're anticipating or planning our sales will be 45%. Again, this is just a very high-level example, everyone. This mix of sale products could change in real world every single month, especially if you're dealing with seasonal items. So again, this whole exercise or series is just to show you how planning, especially in enterprise resource planning systems, things move across throughout the system in the company. We start from our sales forecast right down to producing financial results. All right, so with cell E16 highlighted, let's just grab our fill handle and drag that across. Okay, so now we can see for each month on a daily basis how many units of widget A need to be produced. So what does this tell us? Well, if we're working in supply chain and operations, that tells us of that amount, how many raw materials or ingredients or whatever it is that we need as a minimum on a daily basis to meet this production goal. Our labor force, how many people do we need, how many hours. We can determine our total labor costs that are associated with this production. It tells us absolutely everything. All right, so now let's apply the same thing for widget B. It will be results in E14 again, our total daily production, and we'll multiply that by our expected sales rate of widget B in D17. Okay, once again, we will want to use an absolute cell reference here. Okay, so in February, we are expecting that we need to produce on a daily basis 4 units of widget B. So let's drag this across. And there we go. And again, once again, we can see our daily production. And as I've mentioned in prior videos, we want to take a look at our last section here and make sure our formula copied across correctly. If we look in our formula bar, we can see that we've got J14, which is right here, 15 units, column J, row 14, times the value in D17, which is our 22%. That's our expected demand or sales of that particular product. All right, and now finally we will go down and do the same for widget C, product C. So that's E14 times the value in D18 of 33%. And again, we'll make this an absolute cell reference. Tab, and okay, so for widget C, we're making 6, a little bit higher on a daily basis than product B, which makes sense because we've got a 33% demand on it versus 22. So let's highlight that cell and drag it across. All right, so now just to recap what we've done. We know we determined what our total production plan was on all goods for each month across row 10 here. We then determined how many working days per month we're going to be manufacturing and in the process of production. So from those two variables, we were able to determine the total number of units that we were going to produce each day. We refined that even further by breaking down of the total units produced each day, how much will we be producing of each item that we actually manufacture. So once we put all our allocations in there, our program totaled all these allocations. And once again, we can see for February, our total of all our allocations of products A through C come to 17, which matches our total expected daily output. So we know that because these values match and they balance, we can determine that we have correctly allocated our production plan for each of these units. And that, once again, all the way across, it's the same thing. Again, we look in July, the total value of all the allocations is 15, which matches our total planned daily output. All right, so I hope you find that helpful. And again, we will continue to work through this series of videos right down till we get to the financial results by product. And we can we'll be able to determine the amount of profitability that we're making off of each of these products as we work through this series. So that's it for this tutorial. I hope everyone is well, and we will see you next time.